today I want to show you some of the different dog gear we use, everything from collars all the way to crates, and I'll have everything linked below in my Amazon storefront if you want to check any of it out. I will have a couple of my videos that are relevant to this video linked in the description, so you can check those out as well. I'd appreciate if you like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know down below what's some of your favorite dog gear because I'd like to check it out. And also let me know if there's any specific videos you're wanting to see. I'll start with something pretty simple. Every dog practically needs a flat collar just to hold their tags, and it's a good collar to clip a leash to if your dog doesn't need any other sort of training tool. For us, we use their flat collars more than just about any other tool, so I think every dog should have one in my opinion. The next one is a prong collar, and I know not everybody likes prongs, that's fine. I'm not telling you to get one, I'm just going to tell you which one you should get in case you are thinking about getting one. There is only one brand that's imported from Germany. That is the only brand that's made in a safe way for the dog. It has a guard here for the trachea, so that way you're not choking your dog. And you can see that the prongs go in opposite directions, beginning at the trachea plate. That is so the pressure can be evenly distributed. The ones at the pet stores you see where the prongs all go in one direction, or the ones without the trachea guard, they're not very safe for dogs. They're also not very effective. This is a Hermspringer. I will put the name of it on the screen. They have several different kinds. This is just their 2.25 millimeter, but it's in black. They also have them in silver. And basically the idea is that when it's around the dog's neck, it's loose and it's not causing any friction. And then if they start to get tighter on the leash, it starts to tighten up a bit. You can also use it for corrections. And in my opinion, if your dog is a puller, it's a little bit safer to use something like this after they're trained on it than it is something like this. If they pull hard enough on this, it can actually cut off their airway a little bit. So you definitely don't want that. Again, I'm not encouraging you to get a prong collar. I definitely think if you're going to, you need to work with a professional or you need to do a ton of research. But this is the Hermspringer, and then this is just a regular flat collar. I think both are awesome tools for dogs, and we use them both all the time. Next, I'd like to talk about another kind of collar that's a little bit different than the last two. These are e-collars, and they are very much not the cheap things that you see at Walmart or other places. These are high quality e-collars. They're made for training dogs and working dogs. And I'm going to put a list on the screen of e-collar brands that I recommend. Outside of that, I really don't recommend any other brands. Again, these are training tools. This is not me telling you to go out and get an e-collar, but if you're already going to get one, these are the brands that I do recommend. The two that we have used are the e-collar technologies e-collars and the Dogtra e-collars. We used to use the e-collar brand, and now we use the Dogtra brand, but there are a couple other brands that I recommend. But these are really consistent in their levels. The levels also go up pretty slowly, and you get consistent, reliable connection to the collars, which is something you don't get out of the cheaper collars. So if you're going to buy an e-collar, I would not try to cheap out and get whatever you can find. I would definitely splurge on a nicer e-collar, because when it comes to corrections for your dog, you want it to be consistent whenever you're trying to correct something, but you also want it to be fair to the dog. A lot of the issue with the cheaper ones is just that sometimes you may get the level you press, and then other times you might get a level that's way different than what you had the collar set on. So these are e-collars. We use them all the time since our dogs are off leash a lot. And again, this is not me recommending that you get one, but if you're already thinking about getting one, these are the brands that I like, and I would say their e-collar is probably about their most used tool because they are off leash so often. So these are another kind of collar that you can get and use. This is Gunner's harness for tracking deer. In case you didn't know, we have a dog that tracks deer for us. This is the harness that he wears. I'm a little shocked that he's not going nuts over in the corner right now, because usually this harness signals to him that it's time to work. I don't use harnesses a lot for just walking a dog down the street or anything like that. For our dogs personally, they were just never quite as comfortable in a harness as they always have been in a collar, and I like to work smarter and not harder. So I just prefer to use a collar. There's no reason why I'd need to use a harness other than just with Gunner, we've specifically conditioned this to mean that he's supposed to go find a deer. So for us, it's kind of like his on and off switch. So that way he can go hiking off leash in the woods, the same place where he tracks deer in the woods, and we're able to manage both because this acts as his on and off switch. Now here I've got a variety of leashes, and I'm going to kind of go over why that we use each one. We'll just start in order of length. This is their short leash, and there are a few different reasons why people might want to use these. Some people will clip them onto a dog whether they're trained or not, and kind of have a shorter grab handle for when their dog is crossing the road with them. We never really used it for that. We used it for a couple of other things. Anytime we take our dog somewhere where the requirements are they can be off leash if they're under verbal control, but they need a leash handy, this is great to just clip on them. That way we don't have to carry a leash in our hands with us, and that's been really useful. Another reason that I used to use their short leash is when I was teaching them how to be off leash. I don't know about your dogs, but for ours, they had a reliable recall way before they had a super reliable heel command. So I would call them back to us, and if we were passing another dog or something, I would use the short leash to make sure that they maintained that heel. And I didn't even have to keep a tight grip on it. It was more of just a safety for before they were super consistent with their heel command. The next longest one is just our 6-foot leash. Nothing fancy about it. I think probably every dog needs either a 4 or a 6-foot leash. This one specifically is biothane, just like this one. I definitely recommend getting biothane. I think it's just easier to keep clean and it's easier to maintain. And I also really like this clip. Whenever we took the dogs to the beach, some of our leashes got kind of messed up because sand got in them. These kinds of clips actually are not impacted by sand, which is really nice. So this is their 6-foot leash. This is their long leash. I think this one's about 15 feet. You can get them anywhere from 10 to 100 feet. And you can get them in nylon or biothane. I really would like to get some biothane ones because the nylon ones are just harder to handle and everything. They're also more prone to getting wore out, and in our case, getting in knots, because we still use these occasionally when Gunner tracks a deer unless he's tracking off leash. For us, we just really don't use their long lines as much now. But if you're going to train your dog to be off leash, I definitely recommend having a few different long lines of different lengths, because before they're totally reliable in different environments, you're going to want to let the dog drag the line around for a long time. So that way they have the ability to get further away from you, but you also are still totally in control. And I think that is the most responsible thing to do, and that's the best thing to do, and I don't think there's any other way to do it. So you definitely need to get at least a couple long lines, I would think. Now this is their retractable. It is the Tug brand. You're going to hear horror stories about retractable leashes, especially from vet techs and stuff, where the dog has ran out and it caused enough force to make their eyeballs pop out or whatever. I'm going to tell you why we use one a lot, and I'm going to tell you what circumstances I would use one versus when I wouldn't. We use the retractables for when we want the dogs to be off leash, but we're in a on leash area. Let me tell you what I mean. So these retractables are pretty long. I want to say these are about 15 feet too, like the long line. However, you only need one hand, if that, to manage it. I could actually clip it onto my fanny pack and not even have to hold it at all. And the reason I say that is because I'm not using this for any sort of control over our dogs. If we are taking them somewhere intending to use the retractable leashes, it is because we are basically going to pretend like they're off leash, because these let them have more freedom, but they're also not harder to maneuver like a long line. You don't need two hands on this at all times. Now, if your dog's not trained, I don't recommend it. Unless you have a small puppy who's not going to like bolt to the end of the line super quick. But if you have a small puppy that you're wanting to kind of explore the environment, if you're doing confidence building, I think it's a great thing to have one. And if your dog is totally off-leash trained, which means you do not have to use this much to communicate with them. Now, if I click this, they know that that's the end of their leash and they'll come right back to me. And that's the best way to condition it, is the same way that you condition a regular leash, is that they should come back as soon as they feel any bit of tension on the leash. So if the leash is loose, then they can keep moving. If it's tight, then they know to come back to you. The issue with retractables is that they could fail. So if your dog pulls hard enough, they could actually cause this to come out, and then your dog can get further than you intended. The other issue is, like I said, that forceful stop, but you shouldn't have that issue if you're only using it to give your dog off-leash time in an on-leash area. This is a good way to give them some off-leash time without disobeying leash laws. In other words, if you're going to use a retractable, your dog should be under your verbal control at all times. So much so that I actually use their e-collars when they have this on. So I rely on their e-collars even while this is on, because I would rather rely on the e-collars than on this. They can be very dangerous if misused, but if your dog is under total verbal control to the point to where you trust them to be off leash, even in different environments, even around other dogs, people, whatever, then I think they're a great tool to use. This is the brand Tug. Definitely get a good brand retractable because you don't want it to fail. Even if your dog is off leash trained, you do not want to be caught, halfway through your hike without a leash because your retractable broke. So this is the brand Tug. It's held up really good for the past few years with us. I'll have everything linked down below in my Amazon storefront if you want to check everything out. But these are just the general leashes that we typically use for our dogs. Now let's talk about some different bags that we use for our dogs. These 4 are used for training. We also use them anytime we take the dogs places because we always like to have either treats or some of their food on us, because I think you should always reward dogs for their good choices. This one is just a super simple fanny pack that I grabbed from Walmart years ago, and it's got one big pocket and then a small pocket for the phone and a back pocket. Don't really use this one anymore, but something simple like this will work just fine. This is a fanny pack I got from Amazon. I really like this one for a few reasons. It has a back pocket that's kind of hidden. It has a very large main pocket, a pocket for the dog's stuff, and then also a pocket for the phone and a pocket for a card. So it's got lots of space for all of our stuff, for all the dog stuff, and I've used it a ton. Also, it's super cute. They make it in a lot of different designs. They also make just a plain black one, but that has all these same pockets. So these are a really great option too. This is my Adidas fanny pack. Really like it too. It has less pockets, but both the pockets are really spacious. You can see just how much they can hold. The front pocket's usually where we put the dog's treats and stuff, and then the big pocket's where we usually put our stuff. It also has a tab so you can hang it up if you need to. This is an actual treat pouch, very official, I know, but it has some pros and some cons compared to the fanny packs. I really like using it around the house more than I like taking it out places, but it has a lot less room for your stuff, but it also has a lot more room for dog stuff. So in this case, it has a pocket that zips into it so you can take it out for easy cleaning. What I usually like to do, since it's actually divided into 2 sections, is I like to put Gunner's kibble in one side, Shelby's kibble in the other. That way I know they're getting the right amount of food. It also has a magnetic closure, which is super great for when you're teaching a dog something new. You want to be able to get to that food super quickly, which is great. And then on the back, it has a place for poop bags right here. Our dogs poop maybe once or twice a field trip, so the poop bag dispenser, I could do without it personally. It's not a deal breaker for me. It does, however, have a place for a shoulder strap that it comes with, but then it also has the place for a waist belt. I prefer to wear it around the waist. I just think it feels a little more secure that way. Now let's talk about another type of bag you can use. So for us, we like taking the book bag with us if we're going to be hiking somewhere where we're not going to be super close to the car. It just allows us a little more room to pack some extra stuff. We'll usually pack some of the dog's toys in there. We'll have a ball in there that we can play fetch or tug with. We'll take their water with us, their flea and tick stuff. We also take extra treats in case we need a refill in the fanny pack. And then we also pack anything we might need for ourselves. So in our case, anytime we're going to be near water, we really like having our river shoes so that way we can get in with the dogs and have some fun with it. So it's just really great to have a little extra room. This is just a simple book bag. You could really use any book bag that you can find, but I think it's really nice for those trips whenever you're not going to be anywhere near your car. It gives you just a little extra room to pack some extra stuff in. And when we go on vacation, we take this and we load it down with some of the dog's stuff. Now let's talk about this big one. So we always take our dogs on vacations. So we like to take this to pack their stuff in. Chase got it for me a while back. I'm just going to kind of show you why we love it so much. It does come with 2 collapsible bowls that you just clip on the side here. We really like it because we like to pack a little lighter. We're already overpackers most of the time, so anywhere we can save a little space, we really like to. These can also be used as a water bowl. So that way we don't have to tote around all their different bowls. We can just use these, and then when they're not in use, you can just fold them up and clip them right onto the travel bag. On the same side that the bowls clip onto, there is a cup holder here. On the other side, there is a poop bag dispenser. On the front, there's a clip pocket and a zipper pocket. So I like to put the dog's vaccine papers and stuff in there. And as you'll notice, it also has handles on the top, but then also a shoulder strap, which is nice. It can also go down on top of a suitcase, and it's got a mesh pocket on the back. Inside, you've got a zipper mesh pocket, and then you've got tons of space in here. Dog travel bags sometimes come with food containers, which is really nice. So we put most of their kibble in here. It won't quite hold what we need for a whole week for them, but for shorter trips, it holds the right amount or maybe even a little more than we need. And it's also insulated, and then you can just stack them right into the bag. I forgot to mention this bag whenever I was talking about the bags that I usually take with us on field trips. But now we have a son and I baby wear him most of the time, so that's why I don't really wear this one anymore. I'm also not able to wear my fanny packs crossbody as often anymore. But this one was actually really good. It would fit their water bottle and everything down in here. So if you're looking for a bag and you're not baby wearing, this one's also a good option too. While we're on the subject of taking dogs places, I also think it's really important to keep water on hand for them, regardless of whether you're hiking or whether you're going on vacation. This is the one that we use. It's been our favorite. We used to just use a regular bottle of water and then their collapsible bowls, but this one's just a lot easier in my opinion. It has a lock on it here so that it won't spill when you're not meaning to pour water out of it, but you can unlock it. It's still not going to go anywhere. You actually have to turn it on, and then it starts filling up this little bowl. And then whenever you're done, you can close it, you can lock it back, and you can also try to get the water to go back in there. You have to do it really slow though in order to get it to go back in there without spilling it everywhere like I'm doing right now. But you can lock it and then pour the rest of that water out that they don't drink, and then you just close it back. And it also has a little strap here. It fits pretty good into the cup holder on our book bag, so it's really nice to take with us. That way we know that they're going to have water no matter where we go. Next, I'm just going to talk about some more travel related gear. We have a Variocage in our car. I actually recently made a Variocage tour. It is a crash tested dog kennel for the back of your car. It's made of steel. It's very nice. We love ours. It stays in the back of the car all the time, and it's just a really great addition if you take your dogs lots of places. If you only take them places every once in a while, you could opt for something simpler, although I do still recommend you get a crash-tested kennel, because in the event of even a small bump up in a car, the dog could become a projectile. That could be dangerous for the dog and dangerous for you or anybody else in the car. So I do recommend getting something that's crash tested. They have crash tested harnesses, they have kennels, and the only ones we've ever used are the Ruffling kennel and then our Variocage now. And I will link the Variocage video down below, and I'll also add a link here, but in case you want to finish the video, I'll have the link below in the description also. Along with the Variocage, we also have bags that stay on the front of the cage in order to keep the dog supplies nice and organized. They've been really great for keeping some of those supplies out in the car that we use pretty frequently with them, like their leash and their collars. It's been a really great addition because it keeps everything organized and out of the way, and we don't even have to think about packing a leash or anything because we know it's already in the car. This is our Milwaukee, and you may look at me and say, Haley, that's not a dog product, that's a fan. Yes, it is a fan, but if you've ever transported your dogs, especially in a crate, you know that dogs get hot really fast. The excessive panting and the risk of heat stroke is just not it for us. So we actually put the Milwaukee on one side of the crate. We turn it up, and the dogs are super comfortable for the ride. We have taken this thing to the beach. We've taken it to Florida, which is really far for us, and it has been fantastic both times. It does have 3 different settings. You can also check the battery level that you have here, and it's really powerful. It's really great. We've used it a ton. We've definitely gotten our money's worth out of this fan. I also just briefly wanted to mention our travel crates. We have just those general wire crates that they sleep in at our house, but whenever we go on vacation, they're just a little bit harder to pack up. So we did buy some soft travel crates for them. They do not ride in the car in these crates. I want to make that clear. They ride in their Variocage every time. But whenever we get to our destination, most houses you rent require the dog to be crated anytime you're not in the home with them. And if we go out to eat or something, it's really nice to have a crate with us. That way we can crate the dogs while they're at the vacation home, and we can go out to eat, do what we need to do, and then come back. I'll actually link my crate training video here, and I'll also have it in the description below just in case you don't want to click off of this video just yet. But it's a really good option. It folds up really small, and then whenever it's unfolded, it's pretty sturdy in my opinion, and it's just been really great for us. Let's talk about one of our most used dog products in this house. For us, it's the dog's place bed. We use it when we have visitors come over. We use it when we're carrying in groceries or when we have our baby in the floor and we don't want the dogs messing with them. We use it for all sorts of stuff. And it's a really useful command. If your dog doesn't know the place command, I do have a tutorial on my channel. I'll link the video here, but I'll also put it in the description down below in case you want to finish this video out first. But a place bed, in my opinion, is a necessity. Let's talk about dog toys. So I just made a video about how to tire out your dog that goes over all of these in much more detail, so I'm going to rapid fire through them. I'll link the video here, but I will also put it in the description in case you want to finish this video out first. So for these four are Kongs. You freeze food, you put food in. These are Topples. You also freeze food to put in there. This is a Snoop. Pop out the center, fill it with food, pop the center in, and the dog has to paw around at it. This is a Snuffle mat. They make them in all different shapes and sizes and colors. They're great for nose work. Lick mats are one of my favorites. Great for freezing food on. Also have suction cups on the back. If you want more info about these specifically, there's a lot more about them in my video about how to tire out your dog. This toy kind of fits weirdly in the middle. You can use it for tug and fetch like you can these, but also it can be used as a feeder toy, so there is more info about it in my other video as well. These are the toys that I didn't mention at all in my other video because I made it a point to only mention more unique ways of tiring out your dog, and everybody talks about fetch and tug. But if you're looking for tug and fetch toys, these are my favorites. This Frisbee has been through a lot and it is still in really good shape. It flies really well. It is a Chuck It Frisbee. This ball, in case you can't tell, has been through it. Also, it is fraying quite bad, but we've had it for years. It's definitely gotten its use. You can throw it for fetch or you can play tug with it. It's probably my favorite of these three. This is the best for tug in my opinion. However, if your dog likes the handles, they do fray pretty easy. This part is not going to fray though. It's pretty thick, and it actually came with a bite sleeve also, but it's really good for tug. So if you're looking for a good tug, I definitely recommend this one because this part of the tug is not going to break. And we actually pack all three of these. Usually whenever we take the dogs on a field trip, we just slip them into the backpack, and that way we have something to play with whenever we get to our destination. Shelby really likes to play with these toys whenever we get somewhere. It helps her release a little bit of anxiety. So we actually keep these in the backpack most of the time. That way we always have them for the dogs. For us, the Yeti dog bowl is really great. It has a non-slip surface on the bottom so it don't slide around. It's scratch resistant on the outside. On the inside, it's insulated, keeps the water super cold during the day. We had to go with orange since Gunner's a tracking dog, of course. This is a super unnecessary purchase. Really, you should only get it if you like Yeti and if you just really like the way that the bowl looks. We don't regret buying it. It was a worthwhile purchase for us, but I know it's not for everybody. But this is their water bowl, and we really love it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know down below some of the gear that you use so I can check it out. See you next time.